What's up, innovators and ladies and gentlemen? And in today's video, I'll be talking about how I survived the COVID-19 epidemic, or whatever it's called, the experiment, how I survived broken promises, and how I was able to conquer all of that. So let's dive right into it. So the year was March 12th of 2020, and a loose Chinese virus named coronavirus took over the world. I was a senior at the time. I was a senior in high school, and I had big promises and big dreams of having a girlfriend that will be my wife one day, big house, 2 to 3 kids, a dog, and a white picket fence, which that was the American dream at the time. But later I realized that everything was going up in price as I've gotten older, and that I realized it is unattainable. So then I thought to myself, well, how am I going to survive in a corona-filled surveillance system? How's that ever going to work in the real world like this, when we can't even form connections at the time when we were all isolated from the world? So then I wondered to myself, well, since there will be online classes and we'll have to finish it throughout high school, I might as well just put up with it with a bald head. And yes, I'm still bald to this day, if you haven't noticed by now, but that's not relevant to the conversation. Let's actually keep moving forward. So throughout the last 2 to 3 months of senior year, I've had some people to talk to, but we haven't had face-to-face in-group contact until senior project, whatever it is, like senior graduation project, like almost like a farewell tour to fellow seniors, like a senior parade. So yeah, me and my brother, we actually had this old car and we just used it for the parade. And guess what? It worked. It had my senior pictures as a football manager, and it worked out pretty well. I was bald at the time, but still, we got to continue the story. So what I've learned is that unexpected things could turn into both a positive and a negative thing. The negative thing is that I wasn't able to finish senior year with like anything except for just being at home and actually going outside and having graduation outside. That's really it. So later on, I grew out my hair on my head and I went to college. I would say within 2 months later, I survived the meningitis shot, and I survived appendicitis surgery, which really just made my stomach bloated, and I couldn't exercise for about 3 weeks. And at the time, I had the home gym to my home, which we later moved to in 2021 into the house that we live in now. More on that in later videos, but for now, let's continue. You see, when I actually used my green notebook and Senate speech, I made it known that I was going to make LCU great again. At the time, it was just on my mind when there's like mask mandates, vaccine mandates, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Those things. That really sucked. I'll have to admit, it really, really sucks at the time. So, in the latter months of my freshman year of college, I made a promise to myself that I was going to look for an amazing, godly woman, which I was a Christian at the time, and I was going to date her until we got married and we had children, and we actually have a house together. Because I thought the world was going to be better from the COVID vaccine, or the COVID experiment. But then later on, it just got worse. Everyone has gotten crazy corrupt, and then everything just turned into a shithole that it is now. Welcome to the real world. So, continuing my college experience, well, unfortunately, I got the COVID vaccine and I survived. And I had 2 doses of it and I survived. Everyone else that had something really bad about them, they were not lucky. At least nationwide when it comes to side effects. But thankfully for me, I was one of the lucky few that actually kept up at the gym and survived. So thankfully, I was able to survive the medical holocaust. I know that's crazy to say, but at the time, that's what it felt like. Which, by the way, I was against, but I was forced to get it through work, just like many others before, but if they rejected it, they got fired. So thankfully, I survived all that. And then in the deeper years of my college experience, in the deeper that I got into my 20s, there was this young, beautiful lady named Kara Young. And by the way, she was one of the most attractive women I've ever met in my entire life. I don't know how I screwed up by that, but I was a simp at the time. So it kind of sucked to do that. But I know later on, as I've gotten older, I realized that female nature is actually a lot more different than men nature, or should I say male nature, whatever it is. Yeah, it was very different. So now I understand the opposites attract. Like the opposite gender just attracts the opposite. Now I understand why that's the case. So I was about 20 to 21 years old, and I was just aimlessly searching for women of my age or slightly younger or older with no winning strategy. And it sucks, but I have learned a lot. Most women don't want a man that actually chases them. They actually become the chased and wait patiently and actually build themselves up. That's what I've come to find out years later, especially after I haven't dated anybody for over 2 years, since July of 23. At least actively, that's what I'm trying to say, actively. But the truth is that the more promises that I kept that I couldn't complete with, the more they become broken. And that's how I became red-pilled at that time. But before I've taken the red pill, I was trying to actually establish a relationship with Kara. But in July of 2022, she broke my heart. And I felt empty and broken. And at the time, I was trying to retake my personal training test. I was studying very hard. And yes, I was a college student at the time. But also, during the same year, I left being a senator. And by the way, I did really good at it, by the way. I did a fantastic job of showing my leadership skills. I did really well in helping the college students out, quite a lot. So I did really well. But when it comes to other things, I didn't do well at all. Because at the time, I thought to myself, if I actually chase them even more, I will get something. And later on, it turned out to be the complete opposite. And why is that the case? You may ask. Well, it's because I was aiming at the wrong pawn, the wrong gene pool. That's what it is. I was aiming at the wrong one. And that's why I'm single right now at this point. But the truth is, I'm not the only one that has this problem. Many other men my age has similar issues. And it's not because we were taught to be nice, it's because we've been lied to about it. Okay, being nice is one thing, but being overly nice is not gonna solve anything. If anything, it just makes it even more complicated and more worse than before. But back to the story. So, after Kara broke my heart, I've been aiming at online dating for 2 weeks at this point, aimlessly. I was lonely. It was in my darkest moments. I was very, very, very lonely and, I don't know, somewhat depressed. It was sad, man. It was a dark time. It was a very dark chapter in my life, and I was 20 years old. And I was only moments away from retaking my personal training test. Moments away. And you know what I did? I didn't finish. I ended up not retaking it, and I was in somewhat of a small amount of debt for a little while. And guess who I texted with? Sharon Williams, which I thought who was 19 years old, and she was pretty. The next thing you know, I sent in some money, then my debit card was hacked. So I simped. I was simping at the time because I had nowhere to go. I was 20 years old and I had no direction. I was at my darkest moment, and that was really a dark chapter in my life. But I know a lot of guys have been this way before, and it sucks. And this is when I knew I should not be sending any money to strangers that you don't know of. That was the lesson that I had, is never trust a stranger that you don't know of. Online, at least. And that's the lesson that I had in my life. And then later on, I was trying to look for another job, which I still am today. Trust me, I'm still in this process. But I was doing it the wrong way and at the wrong time. Which, to be fair, it is what it is at this point, and it does suck. But at the time, I was at my loneliest moment of my entire life. And I still was when I was in my 3rd year of being a college student. And I know there's a lot of gaps about it, but seriously, that was my life at the time. So my 3rd year was probably my worst college year of my life because I had no direction, I was still aimless, and that led me to dropping out of college at 21 years old. And now 2 years later, everything has changed. And yeah, there were just so many broken promises over there. And then I found out that the whole dating system and education system was an entire lie. And I had no choice but to drop out. You know why? Because I was burnt out and I had nowhere to go. And that leads us to this moment. And then once I became red-pilled for at least 2 years, I found out Better Bachelor, I think it's MTR is another one, and then Fresh and Fit was another one that I found, the red pill ideology. Andrew Tate was another one. I mean, to be fair, I actually discovered Andrew Tate in 2022 at the time, at least 2022 at the earliest. Then I found the self-improvement life at 21. Well, 2021, not 21, but I was 19. So I had some self-improvement moments, but it didn't take a full effect until I was 21, which was 2023. And this was after I dropped out of college. So now I found the Legion of Men channel, and then later on Nomad Capitalist and Wealthy Expat. And yeah, I was a YouTuber at the time when I discovered them. During my 3-year comeback, and to be fair, it was nice to actually have 2 channels and multiple channels, but unfortunately it consumed too much of my time, and that is a really big problem. And then later on, I found the golden pill, which leads me to right now, leads me to that present moment in 2025. And I found enlightenment, and I've become very hopeful because I found out that the red pill has, why don't we just say, softened. And all the promises that I had for myself since I was a young kid is gone, vanished, gone forever. But I have taken a lot of lessons from all the channels that I've followed for at least 2 to 3 years at least, and developed the golden pill ideology. And it's an enlightenment version of the red pill, but it's everlasting optimistic. It's everlasting optimism is what I'm trying to say. So that's not coping, that's a description. That's a description of what I've become, especially this year alone. And apologies on the light over there, it's just because that's just the current location that I'm in right now. But the truth is that life is going to change no matter what. And then fast forward to a couple weeks ago, I had to shave not only my beard, but my long hair as well, due to conservative grooming rules. Or conservative, let's just say professionalism. There we go. Like hotel types of stuff. So I had no choice but to delete both of my channels and to start over again, because I had nowhere to go. And ever since then, I took a break, like 1 week break from uploading YouTube channels ever again until October 27th, which was actually a couple days ago, which is recent. And I uploaded a new era has begun, and guess what? It did begin. I don't know why that is, because it gives me an opportunity to actually become my full potential, aka the full potential challenge that I've been working and constructing on for both of my communities, Discord and Telegram, and maybe even some of the school communities too, that I'm still a part of today. So that's what's been going on for the past 5 years since 2020. More like a summary of what just happened and what I've learned about it. So, to put it lightly, the past 5 years have been nothing more than a life-changing experience. Even when it's something that I enjoyed about, that later turned into a disaster, actually led me to my full potential. And I've taken a lot of skills, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of experience that I later carry down today. Some of it that actually turned into an investment project, YouTube channel, and maybe even an improving career. But some of these promises were never meant to live on. It was meant to be a reminder that some things have to be let go. And that's what I've learned about over the past 5 years. And yeah, in conclusion, what I've learned is that certain experiences will live on forever, and you live to tell the story. And yeah, that is it for today's video. If you enjoy personal perspective videos and stories like this one, do me a favor, like and share and comment down below, and subscribe to the Banister channel. Now, innovators, if you truly believe in making masculinity great again, and if you're a man that wants to self-improve every day, and you want to get into the Zoom calls and accountability polls, then join Project Masculinity Discord down below, and you won't regret it. If you believe in freedom and liberty, innovators, and whether or not you want to become one, then join the One Liberty Vision Telegram down below as well. And with that in mind, that's it for today's video. Take the golden pill. The revolution is now. And I'll see you in the next video. Until next time. See you later.